Every single day, there are roughly 7.5 million new blog posts published across the internet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right, 7.5 million. That is a massive amount of discrete content, and every single piece is just fighting for a tiny fraction of a second of human attention.
Completely saturated.
Exactly. I mean, the whole romanticized idea of the internet, the idea that it's this quiet, meritocratic room where you just publish a really well-crafted thought and an eager audience naturally gathers to listen, that is completely dead.
Oh, long dead. Yeah.
We aren't in a quiet room anymore. We are standing in the middle of this chaotic, high-frequency trading floor, and the currency we're dealing with is attention.
That's a great way to put it.
And if your content isn't being seen, well, it probably has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of your writing.
Right.
Right? It has everything to do with the underlying architecture of how, where, and specifically when you're deploying it into the network.
Yeah, because the environment has completely shifted from what we used to call a semantic web to a purely algorithmic one.
Right.
Creators, they aren't just competing against other creators anymore. I mean, they're competing against highly optimized distribution models that are literally designed to capture and hold user attention at all costs.
And to even register in that kind of environment, you need a structural shift, which is exactly the core focus of our deep dive today.
Definitely.
We're looking at the harsh realities of content overload, and we're drawing our foundational insights from a really comprehensive guide called the Textcalla Framework.
It's a fantastic source.
It really is. So we're going to aggressively unpack the actual mechanisms of survival in this landscape.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to break down the integration of AI-driven scheduling algorithms.
Which is so much more complex than people realize.
Right. We're going to explore how these sophisticated machine learning models don't just automate the logistics of posting, but actually analyze audience behavior. They ensure bloggers don't just keep pace, but actually flourish.
Yeah, because we are moving way past the concept of scheduling as like a simple calendar function. What we are really talking about here is predictive modeling. It's capacity management. The tools that are available now, they allow a creator to effectively run a highly localized, completely optimized content delivery network.
Tailored exactly to their specific audience.
Yes, exactly tailored to their behavioral patterns.
So for you listening right now, whether you are managing a brand, writing a personal blog, or you're just intensely curious about how the internet's top creators actually manage their time, this deep dive will completely reframe how you look at digital content management.
It really changes everything.
It does. But before we get into the crazy neural networks and predictive forecasting, the Textcalla Framework actually demands that we start with the human baseline.
The foundation. Right.
Right. So why, in a deep dive entirely centered on artificial intelligence, is the absolute prerequisite a strict human-driven operational schedule?
Well, simply put, because you cannot automate chaos.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, machine learning models, they require structured, reliable training data just to establish baseline heuristics, right? So if a creator is just publishing erratically, like dumping 5 articles in a weekend frenzy and then going totally dark for a month.
There's no pattern.
Exactly. There is no consistent interaction graph for an AI to actually analyze. The human baseline of effective scheduling is the cornerstone of productivity and success. It's about organizing tasks, setting deadlines, prioritizing workloads. It's the prerequisite infrastructure.
So it's about establishing that deterministic state before you throw in the predictive AI elements.
Right. And it has massive external benefits, too, especially for search engine optimization.
SEO. Right. Let's talk about that.
Well, search engines inherently favor active, frequently updated sites. But it's about the mechanical reality of crawl budgets.
The crawl budget.
Yeah. Search engines allocate a highly specific, finite amount of computational resources to spidering and indexing your site.
Right, because Googlebot doesn't just hang out on your server waiting for you to hit publish.
Exactly. It predicts when you might have new content based on your historical velocity. So if your scheduling is regimented, say, every Tuesday and Thursday, the crawler's algorithm learns that frequency.
Okay.
It optimizes its resource allocation to fetch your new posts the moment they go live. But if you're erratic, the crawler actually downgrades your site's priority.
Oh, wow. So you could publish this brilliant, highly relevant piece of analysis.
But if the crawler's predictive model doesn't expect you to publish for another 3 weeks, that piece just sits unindexed on a dark server.
Completely isolated.
Completely. And internally, a schedule creates a vital roadmap for your long-term goals. It lets bloggers allocate specific time blocks for brainstorming, writing, editing, promotion. It fosters accountability and drastically reduces creator stress.
Okay, let's unpack this because I think a really good analogy for you listening is it's like cooking a massive multi-course holiday dinner,
Oh, I like that.
right? If you run a blog without a schedule, it's like trying to cook that massive dinner without a prep list.
Total nightmare.
Exactly. You are just frantically juggling pots and pans, things are burning, and you feel completely overwhelmed. But with a schedule mapped out clearly, it becomes a proactive, manageable process.
Right. You can adapt to unforeseen challenges.
Exactly. You drop a dish, you know you have 15 minutes of buffer time built in to fix it.
That's a perfect comparison. And while that human-driven scheduling provides a fantastic foundation, and it really does improve work-life balance, human capacity has a hard ceiling.
Right. There's only so many hours in the day.
Exactly. To achieve true visibility in this hyper-competitive landscape, creators eventually need a technological upgrade.
Which brings us to section 2, the AI upgrade and reclaiming time and efficiency.
Yes, the transition from manual payload delivery to automated execution.
Because the source text explains that AI automates routine tasks, social media posting, analytics tracking, even some aspects of content generation.
Right. And the critical why here is about freeing up valuable time. By handing the logistics over to machine learning, creators can actually dedicate themselves to strategic activities, the creative aspects that distinguish their brand.
So it's not just a script that fires off an API call at 5 p.m.?
No, it's way beyond that. The text has this fascinating detail. AI can manage project workflows by analyzing upcoming deadlines and workload capacities. It actively provides recommendations for task delegation or rescheduling.
Wow. So acts as an algorithmic project manager.
Exactly.
But I have to ask on behalf of the learner here, does introducing AI, especially for things like content generation and analytics, risk stripping the soul or that unique voice out of a blog?
That's the classic pushback, right? That it's going to sound corporate and robotic.
Yeah, exactly. It sanitizes everything.
But if you look back at the source text, it emphasizes that harnessing AI actually promotes a smoother process that empowers bloggers to be nimble.
Nimble, okay.
Yeah. The AI handles the rigid, boring logistics, so the human can focus entirely on creativity and being responsive to the audience. It's not dictating the creative output, it's optimizing the distribution baseline.
So it's kind of defending the floor so you can reach for the ceiling?
That's exactly it. It handles the drudgery so you have the mental bandwidth to write that messy, brilliant 10,000-word manifesto.
Right. Okay, so if the AI is taking the wheel on logistics and giving you that time back, the next logical step is figuring out exactly when to hit publish.
Which is a science in itself.
Yeah. Let's get into the science of timing. How does the AI identify peak engagement?
Well, it all comes down to historical interaction data. AI tools pull in massive data sets and pinpoint the exact, specific days and times when a blogger's followers are most active online.
But it's not just about pushing content out, right?
No, not at all. It's about delivering high-quality content exactly when the target audience is present. That directly increases the likelihood of comments, shares, overall interaction.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me, because it's kind of like hosting a radio show.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it literally doesn't matter if you have the greatest broadcast in the world, the funniest jokes, the best music. If you air it at 3 a.m. when your specific demographic is fast asleep, nobody cares.
Right. You're broadcasting to an empty room.
Exactly. The AI ensures you are broadcasting right as your audience is actually tuning in.
And not just tuning in, but in a high receptivity state, ready to engage. And the text highlights the importance of continuous monitoring here, too.
Because audience behaviors evolve.
Exactly. People change jobs, seasons change. Someone who scrolled at 8 p.m. in the winter might be outside in the summer.
Yeah.
AI uses real-time analytics to track those shifts in engagement patterns, which keeps the blogger ahead of the trend.
Right. It's constantly course correcting.
Yeah. But knowing the perfect time to broadcast is really only half the battle.
True.
The other half is physically distributing that content across this vast, fractured digital landscape without burning yourself out.
Which is incredibly hard right now. The audience is split across X, LinkedIn, Discord, TikTok. It's everywhere.
It is. And that brings us to the distribution web.
Right. Social automation and the power of repurposing.
So we're talking about implementing automation tools, specifically for social media sharing. They maintain a consistent online presence across all these various platforms without the burden of manual posting.
But how does it do that effectively? Just blasting the same link everywhere gets you penalized by the platforms.
Exactly. The platforms hate off-site links. So the strategy here, highly emphasized in the source, is repurposing existing content.
Okay, repurposing.
Automation allows creators to schedule recurring posts of popular articles or, evergreen content.
Stuff that doesn't go out of date.
Right. This increases visibility without the exhausting need to constantly create brand new material from scratch every single day. It keeps the social feeds active and reinforces the blogger's expertise.
Wait, so what does this all mean for the audience? I mean, if I'm a dedicated reader, doesn't constantly resharing old content annoy me? Doesn't it feel a little bit like cheating to just automate old hits?
I get why it feels that way, but the source firmly defends this practice. Because the content chosen for repurposing is high quality and evergreen, followers are continuously exposed to valuable insights and information.
So it's not spam.
Not at all. It's strategically reminding the audience of foundational knowledge that remains highly relevant. Plus, mathematically, organic reach on social media is so low that maybe only 10% of your audience saw it the first time anyway.
Oh, that's a great point. You're hitting the 90% who completely missed it.
Exactly. And for the 10% who did see it, spaced repetition is actually great for retention.
So once this automated web of new and repurposed content is distributed and it's hitting at peak times, the creator really needs to know if the strategy is actually working.
Yes, you can't just set it and forget it.
Right, which requires a robust feedback loop.
The feedback loop,
Mm-hmm.
leveraging analytics and direct audience input.
Because you can execute perfectly, but if the content is missing the mark, the AI is just very efficiently distributing garbage.
Perfectly said. By examining data on engagement, reach, and conversion rates, bloggers can identify what resonates most. But it's not just a numbers game.
What do you mean?
It's about active listening. Analyzing comments and social interactions helps creators tailor their content to actual audience preferences. The text notes that adjusting strategies based on this input demonstrates attentiveness.
It makes the readers feel valued and heard.
Exactly, which fosters a deeply loyal community connection. It transforms blogging from a static broadcast into a dynamic, responsive practice.
It makes me think it's like a stand-up comedian reading a room.
Yes.
If a comedian is up there and a certain type of joke gets a great reaction, they lean into it, they improvise, the data, the laughs tells you what the room is enjoying, so you can pivot in real time and capitalize on that emerging trend.
That's a brilliant analogy. You're reading the digital room.
Right. But managing all of this, the real-time pivoting, the automated distribution, the audience feedback, doing all of that simultaneously has to be chaotic.
It is, which is why it requires a master blueprint. You have to prevent the chaos.
Which brings us to the architect's blueprint: calendars and strategic reminders.
Yeah. We're integrating AI scheduling with content calendars and reminder systems. This allows for a meticulous planning of themes, topics, and publishing dates.
So it's not just a basic grid on a wall.
Far from it. Structurally, the calendar provides a visual representation of upcoming posts. This helps identify gaps in your messaging and avoids those last-minute scrambles that cause inconsistency.
Those scrambles are the worst.
They really are. And furthermore, this synchronization fosters team collaboration. Stakeholders can share access, suggest changes, monitor deadlines. It drastically reduces errors.
And the text also talks about automated reminders, right?
Yes, using automated reminders to capitalize on timely posts, trending topics, or seasonal events.
So for you listening, this transforms the simple calendar from a passive diary where you just write down what happened into an active radar screen.
A radar screen, I love that.
Yeah. It spots incoming opportunities, like a seasonal trend approaching, and it spots blind spots, like gaps in your content long before they arrive. It promotes total accountability.
It's a game changer for consistency.
But, and I think this is the most critical balance in digital content, having a perfectly mapped out, highly efficient calendar can actually lead to a really dangerous temptation for creators.
The ultimate tightrope, balancing quality with frequency.
Right, because if the AI makes publishing so effortless, why not just flood the zone?
The source material has a vital warning about exactly this. Maintaining a consistent schedule must never come at the expense of quality.
Never.
Never. The text explicitly states that producing content solely for the sake of frequency can dilute a brand's message and lead to disengagement.
Which makes sense. If you post junk, people stop reading.
Exactly. High-quality content, carefully researched, well-written, visually appealing, is what actually generates shares and long-term growth. The key is using your analytics to know exactly when to ramp up frequency.
Like during a promotional campaign.
Right. And then thoughtfully spacing out your posts the rest of the time to maintain those high standards.
But let me push back on this a little
Okay,
bit.
go for it.
In today's algorithmic world, isn't it ultimately just a numbers game? Like, don't creators have to post constantly just to survive that content overload we talked about at the very beginning?
It's a common misconception, but the source pushes back firmly on that. While the environment is crowded, the text insists that only real value builds credibility and trust.
So volume alone isn't enough.
Volume without value actually gets you penalized by the algorithms. If you post 10 times a day but nobody reads it, your conversion rate tanks. The platform sees that as spam and buries your account.
Wow, so you effectively shadow ban yourself by posting too much low-quality stuff.
Exactly. AI scheduling isn't meant to become a spam machine. It's meant to optimize the delivery of quality work so the blogger can establish themselves as an authoritative voice in their niche.
It protects the quality.
Yes. It handles the noise so you can focus on the signal.
That is incredibly powerful. Well, as we synthesize the journey of this deep dive today, the paradigm shift is just undeniable.
It really is.
The thoughtful implementation of AI scheduling tools has completely transformed how leading bloggers maintain their online presence.
By automating distribution, fine-tuning that timing, and leveraging deep analytics, creators aren't just surviving the content overload.
No, they are gaining precious time back for creative, strategic thinking. They're flourishing.
Exactly.
So for you listening, whether you are a creator yourself or just a consumer of digital media, understanding this back-end architecture really explains why your favorite blogs consistently deliver the exact content you want, exactly when you want to read it.
It's not magic. It's highly sophisticated infrastructure.
Right. And before we go, there's a final, somewhat provocative thought I want to leave you with to mull over.
Oh, this builds on a specific point from the text, right?
Yeah. The source notes that adapting to feedback can lead to innovative content ideas that might not have been conceived otherwise, right? Like expanding on a highly popular post format.
Yes, the continuous feedback loop.
Exactly. But think about the implications of that. If AI is handling all the logistics, the timing, and seamlessly integrating audience data to tell the creator what to write next, could the future of blogging be entirely collaborative?
Oh, wow.
I mean, we might be moving toward an era where the audience, through their tracked engagement and their silent feedback, is essentially co-writing and directing the blog's future alongside the creator.
Without even realizing it.
Yeah.
The audience becomes the prompt.
Exactly. The audience is the prompt. Something to think about the next time you hesitate over a link before clicking. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.